What do you know about conditioning type 6? Why is the use of conditioning type 6 prohibited in Islam? Is conditioning type 6 being used against humanity? Who is responsible for this? How did the cat woman perform these horrific surgeries? Where rationality goes, Islam strongly opposes it. In the following, we will present compelling reasons for quitting alcohol and gambling, and for abandoning bizarre and horrific cosmetic surgeries. Is emphasized a lot in our scriptures and traditions, to the extent that negative conditioning may be haram in Islam. Type 6 of conditioning, where one cannot discover the conditioning formula, is absolutely forbidden in Islam. You have no right to use this tool. This happens in gambling. In gambling, the person becomes subject to type 6 conditioning. Mind control takes place. He unconsciously wants to repeat this action infinitely, even though he loses again and again. Where and when your rationality is to be endangered, Islam strongly stands against it. Perhaps the biggest problem that Islam has with alcoholic beverages and intoxicants is that they take away your rationality. Islam takes a very strong stance against anything that tries to question your rationality. Type 6 conditioning is absolutely forbidden, for example, in the form of gambling. We even have a verse about it in the Holy Quran. Allah forbids gambling in the Quran. It is mentioned in that verse that wine and gambling have little benefits for you, but that's because the Quran does not lie. The Quran does not say that all of it is harmful. Alcohol has benefits, but know that its harms are much, much greater. So it is haram. Then do not drink alcohol. Gambling has benefits too. You may win some money, but the harms are much greater. You may have heard that in gambling, someone lost his wife. There is no rationality in this game, so it is haram. Men want money for their families, so why would they give them away? Women have the ability to attract men to themselves, and a man falls in love with that woman. But men like to dominate. A woman who shoots just one arrow straight into a man's heart makes a man fall in love with her. A man who has a lot of power and charisma falls in love with a woman. This male system must be identified. When a man receives enough good psychological responses from his wife, it is impossible for him to even eat a single piece of chocolate outside the house. This means he has such a great dependence on his family. This is the nature of a man. A man who pays for the household expenses himself. Economic in society are generally in the hands of men. But what happens to this man in gambling? The same man bets and loses his wife in gambling. He is no longer a human. Something has happened to him. A person plays cards. That is a sweet win. Games where there is a lot of luck. Luck is more than strategy. It can actually be something like gambling and has losses and harms. When you do something based on your own abilities, it is not haram. Is shooting sports forbidden in Islam? No. Since it is your ability, there is no luck in it. Aim, practice, and shoot. Is swimming based on luck and chance? No, it's not. A person must know how to swim from one side to the other. Swimming has no negative effect on you. When I lose in a swimming competition, I accept that he was better than me. But when I lose in gambling, I don't accept that he was better than me. I say he was lucky, and I was unlucky. The irrational discussions continue. You can trap a person with a series of psychological propositions so that he cannot discover your formula. You face a rude person. You greet him, but he answers you with swearing, then gives you some candy. You will be surprised by his action. You cannot discover his laws. One day he is happy. Another day, he hits you in the face. So what is this behavior? When you can't discover this behavior and you get treats from it, you will endlessly desire to repeat it. In individual behaviorism, some people abuse this psychological law, the sixth principle of conditioning. There are many cases that you yourself would recognize that you are conditioned and your behavior is not reasonable. Some of people's behavior towards buying a product is not reasonable. They pay for a brand and not the product. You know what I mean. You and I are conditioned on a series of brands and things, and we do them irrationally. There is a time when you pay a high price for something really valuable. For example, to eat caviar. This is not bad, not irrational. Of course, if caviar has a real nutritional difference from the sprats of other fish. What's going on here? A psychologist or a sociologist should be able to analyze a person's irrational behavior. Dear friends, this is where you and I are being planned. What happens when a person ends in such situation? This woman is known as the cat woman. I want to know what makes a person who is created beautiful by God and should love beauty reaches to this point where she makes herself look like a cat. You wake up in the morning and you have a spot on your face. You try to remove it with various tools for a long time. Although your face does not have spots, you apply sunscreen to look beautiful. But someone suffers from cosmetic surgeries, such as prosthetics. Here is a person who is jeopardizing their beauty. Why is this person doing this? This person is suffering from a series of psychological problems and has become mentally ill. But how did this disease develop? Where was this planned? Which TV program did they watch? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "At the end of time, Akhir al-Zaman, doctors and scientists will metamorphose people." Metamorphosis means becoming like animals. When someone burns her beautiful face and puts a design on it with a laser. Some Iranian women do not buy heavy earrings so that their earlobe holes don't get enlarged and their beauty stays untouched. On the other hand, someone's earlobe will become like that. What happened? What has happened to mankind? Or for example, look at this woman. She is not beautiful at all. Or someone who drives a nail into their head or asks a doctor to put a 5-pointed star under his head at great expense. Or make the skin look like this. This discussion should be settled, and it is pointless for us to say that these are Satanists. A human being goes in a direction where everything he once desired, what he used to call beauty, and what he has been interested in thousands of years, suddenly goes the exact opposite of that. You and I are being conditioned into a program, a project, and our humanity is at stake.